Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here for Love is Blind, Season 9, Episode 11. And all I can say, y'all, is run, Edmond, run. Hashtag free Edmond. Somebody, please, go get Edmond. Um, like I said, KB is horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Are there any services? I know Edmund spent time in foster care, so plenty of times he probably is familiar with child protective services. But is there anything for adult protective services, APS? Is there such a thing? Because we need to call them. We need to call them right away. KB is a whole problem. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about Allie and Anton. Y'all know Allie ain't going to say yes at this altar, don't you? She is not going to say yes whatsoever. Every time Anton talks about how he's looking forward to the future, don't disappoint me, don't disappoint me at the altar, blah, blah this, blah, blah that. All Allie does is do that nervous laugh where she don't really answer you. Allie ain't saying yes to Anton. And to be honest with you, I know they keep talking about how they're just alike. How, when, and where? What does Allie and Anton have in common? I don't even see it. Besides the fact that Anton probably loves the way Allie looks, other than that, I'm really wondering what they have in common because they don't even see their lives going in the direction they want to. I mean, I know Allie basically, I don't really get Allie. Allie wants Anton to pay all the bills, but she wants to go get a master's degree. She wants a lot of fancy things. She don't want to cook or clean. Even her mama told her, well, if you're going to be at home, you're going to have to do something. She don't want to do that either. I don't know what Allie's looking for. I know the mama said that she and her sister don't get along. And we know that Allie is a big, draws pretty hard boundaries. And she was foreshadowing a lot. She was foreshadowing that she ain't going to say yes at the altar. Because what she talked about was there's a fine line between compromise and sticking around for something that is not to be. And what she's getting to is, I see a lot of things about you, Anton, I don't like. And when does it cross over with me compromising the type of person I want versus I've gone too far? I already told y'all that when Allie saw Anton, his looks were her first compromise. Some of you might have got mad when I said it, but I said what I said when I said it. That was her first compromise. Her next compromise is coming in the area of money. Okay. And so she says, but I'm not going to keep compromising because after a while, too much compromising is not going to be good. Then came the whole thing with the alcohol, the drinking. And now the part about what he expects from her as a wife to wash dishes, clean, and cook. And she says, I don't even clean up after myself. How do you expect me to clean up after you too? It ain't going to make it. It is not going to make it. And before I get going too far, let's talk about who else didn't make it, which is Madison and Joe. We saw last week Joe said goodbye. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And like he said, why have we been dragging this on so long? And Madison sat up there and cried on the floor. And then as she cried, her tears, and she said she was so hurt. And she says, you're not even coming to give me a hug. Madison has done this all episode. She shows an enormous about emotion. She leaves the house and she waits for Joe to chase her, but he never does. And now all of a sudden she's shocked that he is basically saying, you are not the one for me. You are not my person. And I don't want to be with you every day. He said when he left, it was like a weight off his shoulders. It was like he was relieved. And the more he kept saying, I need to say goodbye to you, Madison, the more she kept saying, but why? What's the problem? Once again, he was trying not to tell you the truth, which is, I'm not attracted to you, period. And I don't know why Madison doesn't pick this up. He said, well, it's not anything really. He's continually lying because he doesn't want to tell her the truth. And the more he says, well, it's not too much, I can't pinpoint it, she kind of then feels like it's frivolous then. It's not frivolous. He just doesn't want to break your heart. He doesn't want to crush you any more than he's already crushing you. But knowing Madison, even if he told her the truth, she wouldn't believe it. She talks about, oh, I want to throw up. I can barely breathe. And he just sits there and looks at her. And she goes, oh, why aren't you even trying to hug me? I just told you I want to throw up and I can barely breathe. He said, because I don't want you to get your hopes up high. If I hug you, you might think that I want to stay. I don't really want to stay, Madison. I want to go. I don't know why Madison hung on this long. I don't know why she refused to see the signs that Joe was not into her. And the only way he was able to even sleep with her would be when he was drunk. Come on, Madison. Girl, this is too much. But I'm gonna play my introduction video and I'm gonna come back. And when I come back, we're gonna talk about Madison and Jordan, not Madison, Megan and Jordan. Because on my last episode, I said I think they're gonna say yes at the altar. And I know this episode, it looks rocky, but I still believe they're gonna say yes. And I'm gonna talk about that. And I'm gonna talk about KB, because KB is trouble and she's dangerous. All right. See y'all in a minute. So KB, y'all got to remember what KB's complaint is about Edmond. Let's run through it. One is her complaint is that everything is about him. Her other complaint is that he doesn't apologize, he doesn't let her talk, and he's dismissive. These are all her complaints, okay? So we're going to start off with what's the first thing we see. That is KB asking Edmond, will you rub my feet? Well, KB, I mean, if you're going to preach that everything is about Edmond, then you asking him to rub your feet doesn't fit well with your narrative. That's going to be the first problem. The second problem is she liked to call him like he ain't no man. Later on, she calls him the B word. That there, right there. But when they go on this snowmobile, like I said, KB likes to be in charge. She want to drive. She can't get behind Edmond and wrap her legs and arms around him. She need to be in charge. She needs to be driving. And then she goes in the house and says she's going to get some hot chocolate. She comes back, hands it to him, and says, and he says, thank you. And she says, yeah, thanks for helping me down. You know, KB complains that she's got to do too much. Why does she have to be the one to confront the elephant in the room? Why does she have to be the one that gets hot chocolate? Because that's what you like to do. You like to be in charge. And you don't know how to sit down and you don't know how to follow. All you do is know how to lead. And when all you know how to do is lead, but then you mad when nobody else steps up to be a leader. But when they want to talk and be a leader, you tell them to shut the hell up and you tell them to listen to you. Well, KB, you are a walking contradiction. All of the things that you want in a so-called leader, you actually snatch the reins back from people. You don't listen. You like to talk. You don't like to ride and be a passenger. You like to drive. Okay. And I don't know why she doesn't see this. So now she's getting on Edmond about being fake in front of the cameras, being dismissive, basically saying that Edmond is dismissive and an asshole off camera, but then on camera he acts happily go lucky. Well, KB, once again, I don't know if Edmond is fake off camera or on camera, but I can say this. You call him an asshole off camera, you're an asshole on camera. Okay? That's what I'm saying. KB don't see herself. Something, we thought something was seriously wrong with Edmond, but something is wrong with KB. Even in her storytelling, she still thinks she's right. She told the story that when the producers told Edmond that the Bachelor theme was Western theme, he says, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Edmond was expressing himself that he didn't want that to be his Bachelor theme. But somehow or another, KB is mad because as Edmond was explaining, maybe he was throwing a tantrum. I don't know what he was doing. Doesn't matter. It was his thing. It was his moment, and he was having a moment. And his moment was, I don't want the Bachelor, the Western theme. Maybe because he was triggered on the last Bachelor, a Western theme. Maybe that's why he didn't want to do it again, because he felt like we just did that and it was a disastrous night and I don't want to be reminded of it again. I don't know why he was having a meltdown, but nonetheless, what KB does is she says, Edmond always wants it to be about him, but KB, when they were telling him about his bachelor party and he didn't want to do it, you then start arguing to him and saying that the reason why now you're mad at him is because he cut you off. Well, why the hell were you talking anyway? It wasn't your bachelor party. Why would you have anything to say, KB? So when you say he cut you off, when you started, I guess, having something to say, the fact that he didn't want a Western bachelor party, maybe you shouldn't have been talking at all. You see, people who say they always get cut off, one thing they're not missing is, well, maybe you shouldn't have been talking. Maybe it wasn't your time to talk. Because if it's not your time to talk, then folks sometimes don't have to cut you off. But KB always likes to talk. She likes to be in charge. She likes to tell people what to do. And she says she's tired of communicating. She's tired. And I can't force you to want to grow up. She's demeaning. She's rude. She's condescending. And then what she says is when he is quiet and he stares out into space just so he can get through all her rude comments and condescending tone, she got a problem with that too, because now what she wants is what? What do you want, KB? What do you want? When he talks, you tell him to shut up. When he's quiet, that's a problem too. KB has real issues. And what she says is she wants him to take accountability. And then he says, well, why are you yelling, KB? And you know what KB does again? She blames that on him. I'm yelling because I'm frustrated. So what? So what, KB, if you're frustrated? You can be frustrated and not yell. KB complains that Edmond takes zero accountability, but throughout all her conversation, she takes zero accountability for her actions. Not only did she say, I'm yelling because you make me frustrated, she says also because you make me feel this way. Once again, KB, you have zero accountability. Can't anyone make you act outside of yourself? KV told this whole man that later on, that the person we're seeing on TV is not the real KB, and this is not the way she talks, and that Edmond has her acting out of character. No, KB, this is your character. And I suspect you know it's your character, and I think you're trying to change it, and you think you've changed it, but you haven't changed it. You see, KB, that's part of the problem. Next thing you know, she's cussing at this man, telling him he don't give a F, telling him to stop effing talking to me, B. Stop effing talking to me, B. And then she says, I didn't agree with you when you said it, but I let you get it off your chest. Once again, KB's in charge. She is in charge of when you get to open your mouth. She is in charge of if you get to drive. She is in charge of everything that you do. And anytime you don't do what she wants you to do, it's a problem. And even if you do something, she just wants it to be known that she's letting you do it. Everything that KB actually complains about Edmond, that he's immature, she's immature. That he cuts her off, no, she cuts people off. That he doesn't take accountability, she doesn't take accountability. That he yells and screams, she yells and screams. Free Edmond, free Edmond. Somebody need to call Adult Protective Services. And in the end, Edmond once again came back and apologized to KB, brought her some flowers, told her all the words that she wanted to hear. And then what was the first thing out her mouth? Well, I just want to let you know, when that was happening back on the mountain, I want to take my ring off and throw it away. Thank you, KB. Thank you. Can you say anything nice, KB? You got what you wanted. You got the apology. You got the flowers. You got everything. But before you could say anything nice, you still got to take one more dig, one more dagger in the heart to put this man down on the ground. And then she says, after he apologizes and lets her know that he's a better man because of her, that's when she starts then blaming him and saying, I'm not that girl that curses people out. I haven't done it in years, but you kind of brought it out in me. Zero accountability. Zero accountability. KB says that she feels loved by Edmond, and that he has changed her. Let me tell you what KB is liking about Edmond, that he stays. That Edmond knows how to stay through abuse because he did it with his mama. You know, he's constantly fighting for women, even though those women are abusive to him, because KB is abusive. And the reason why she feels loved in her own kind of way by Edmond is because any other man, let's not say any other, 8, 9 out of 10 men would have walked away from KB. They would have abandoned her, just like her father abandoned her. The feeling would be the same. She would get abandoned. And I'm not saying her father did it because who she is, but the feeling of a man walking out her life would feel the same way. But in this moment, as an adult, she does not see it. She does not see it. One thing I can give her credit for was she sure picked up that rollerblading pretty easily. Something tells me she's rollerbladed before, but hey, if she wants to say that's the first time she's been on rollerblades, good for you, girl. But even in that, even though Edmond is the professional roller skates, she still told him, don't you fall. Don't you fall, because if you fall, that's going to make me feel like you can't protect me. You know, that's what she was thinking, y'all. That's what she was thinking. But then we're going to move on to Megan and Jordan. And like I said, Megan walks around acting like she got a better offer out here. Megan don't have a really better offer. Megan is not fooling me, okay? Megan is trying to make us all believe that she is in some way settling for Jordan. That's what she wants everyone to believe, that she's Sparkle Megan. She's got a lot of big money. She can fly all around the world, go play tennis, go play pickleball, go to Lake Como for a wedding. Well, Megan, if all of that was accessible to you, if that whole life you're describing was accessible to you, why are you here? Why are you here? Because it wasn't accessible to her. That's the problem. It may be a life she's always wanted, but she's never had the offer of that life. Because like Megan has told us, no one wants to sit around and listen to her all day. And men who make a lot of money don't want to sit around and listen to her all day. And then other men like the Jordans who have to work at blue collar jobs or hard jobs, he don't have time to sit around and listen to her all day. What does Megan want? A dog? A puppy? What does she want? a person that just sits around and waits until she's finished working and she's got time, and then that person has a bunch of time for her, a person who can get up and go anytime that she has time. Megan, maybe you said you was a daddy's girl or you were very close. Sound like your daddy might have given you too much attention. Too much attention. There is such a thing, y'all. There is such a thing, because Jordan is realizing right now that even in this looking for this house, Megan is off looking for houses all by herself, because what she's saying is it doesn't really even matter, Jordan, what you want. I'm the one paying for the house, so I'm gonna pick out what I want. And Jordan tried to tell her, hey, the house we want will come along, and I think it's gonna happen when we're together. Basically saying, why the hell are you out here looking for houses without me, even if you are the one that's gonna be putting down 1.5? And what he tried to tell her even in his wedding is, I'm gonna wear the tuxedo I want to wear. And even then, Megan was trying to get him to do and wear something she doesn't want to wear. But all in all, this big old fight that they had in the closet about I'm tired and I don't want to come home from work and be incessantly talking. I need some time to recharge. I need some time to wind down before you hit me with a bunch of questions, or you expect me to be completely engaged with you in conversation just because you were sitting at home all day, work from home. Who needs some time to recharge when they get home? Some quiet time? But not Megan. Megan, listen, girl. If you are bored from working at home and you're feeling isolated, you know what? You need to go out and find something to do. Maybe you ought to return to the office. You can go back to the office if you want to. I'm sure there's an option to do that. I don't know. But I kind of was with Jordan on this one. When he was talking about you need to be a bit more compassionate, your tone is abrasive, it's very demanding. It's very, very demanding. And he says, why do I need to explain if I'm exhausted? And she tried to say we're in the same boat. No, we're not in the same boat. If you got all the time and energy and money to go out and go to tennis and happy hour and fancy dates in the middle of the week, we're not in the same boat. As Jordan said, your boat is way bigger than mine, because my boat that I'm in doesn't have room for all that. You may have room for all that in your life, Megan. And what Jordan is saying, you better really think long and hard, Megan, if this is the life you want. Because I don't know what you're going to do when you have kids. If you can't even sit still, Megan, Sparkle Megan can't sit still. She's already looking for a house. Why? Why so soon, Sparkle Megan? Megan does too much. Instead of calling herself Sparkle Megan, she should call herself Too Much Megan. Doing too much Megan. And maybe that's what people said when they call you Sparkle Megan. Maybe what they were really trying to tell you in a nice way was that you do too much sparkle, too much shine. You're blinding me. You're tiring me out. Pipe down, slow down, settle down. You understand what I'm saying? Even Jordan tried to tell her, you thought that the pods was real life. The reason why I had all those jokes in the pod was because I was on vacation. The pods were a vacation. I had a maid. I had meals prepared for me. I didn't have to get up in the middle of the night with my child. I didn't have to go to work and work 9-10 hours a day. I didn't have to commute to work. It was a vacation. It's just like a vacation when you're married. Everything is different on vacation. Sex is different on vacation. Your conversation is different on vacation because you're not tired. You know, I don't know what life Megan lives. And the truth of that is she acts as if she is settling for Jordan. She is acting as if she had this life before and now she has to give it up for Jordan. I don't believe it. I don't think she had the life. She might have had the money, but the problem is she had no one to go with. Those are two different things. You ever got money, but then you ain't got nobody to go with? You ever got money and time, but nobody else has money and time, so you don't even go because you ain't got no one to go with? That's Megan. Megan got money and time, but she don't have anyone to go with because the girlfriends, they all got men. They got husbands, right? But Megan is single out here. She got money and she got time and she don't have people to go with. Sure, she can go out on a girls trip here and there. But what Megan is talking about is she needs this activity 3 days a week, if not more. And so what she was thinking she was going to do, since my girlfriends aren't available, I'm going to go out and get me a man and plug him in. And then he's going to be able to do all these things with me. Well, then, Megan, if that's what the life you want, then you're going to have to become the sole breadwinner, not the primary, the sole. And you're going to have to retire Jordan and he can be your house husband. If that's the life you want, if you want a man available when you're available, if you want a man never to be tired, if you want a man to be able to wine and dine and take you out when you want to, if you want a man who can have endless conversation when you're ready to talk about work or whatever else, what you're describing is a house husband. That's what you're describing. You're not describing a single dad or a dad who's co-parenting a son who has type 1 diabetes with an insulin pump, a man that works, looks like a blue-collar job that might be physically draining. She better get it together. But there at the end, when she was trying to talk about what she's used to and what she wants, it was Jordan who had to remind her that I thought you had all that before, but yet you were still here in the pods talking to me, choosing me. Because what Megan is trying to do is pretend like she's settling for Jordan. And the truth of the matter is, she is not settling. She never had any of this. It's always been what she wanted. She never had it because what she's been seeking doesn't make sense. She wants a rich man that has a bunch of time for her. It doesn't exist. That's the problem with a lot of women. What they want doesn't exist. A rich man with a lot of time for her. It doesn't exist. No rich man has a lot of time for you. You may have fancy vacations here and there, but that's what you have here and there. But not every day. That's not what you get. Sorry, Megan. Sorry, Sparkle Megan. Wake up. Wake up. So Jordan is trying to wake her up to the real world. And something tells me that she's still going to say yes. Because I think she's going to realize that what she's looking for, her love language is time. I know she wants to harp on the money, but really going to these places, going to these fancy dinners is really more about the time being spent with the person. That's really what it's about. And when she says to Jordan, he asks her, what's something that you really love about me? And she says, I love the way you're father to Luca. Because still what she's talking about is she admires the time that he has for Luca, because what she's really seeking is that same sort of attention to herself. And so she says, I like the way you're attentive to Luca, but also I want that same attentiveness to me. Megan's love language is quality time. That's what it is. She needs to learn that so she can express it. Anyway, that's all I got, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.